just unique. There's only 3 kids in our class. If you pause for a second, people are going to think that it says slowing down. And if she interrupts, there won't be a road.
Oh dear. Hi, can I have a hug? No. Come here.
Oh. Yeah.
This is my little buddy.
Hi, what's your name? Travis. I'm Lyra.
Yes. Oh, that's a what's it called? That's a yarmulke. Yeah.
Goes on your head.
No, put them back and go say hi to your mom for me.
Is that possible? It's gotta be like 17. Is your dad? I thought your dad. I've never met your dad like in person.
He's not saying.
All right, what college did you pick?
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac. Oh, we gotta be in Connecticut.
Yes.
I like that. It's 2 hours away. That's a perfect distance. You don't look happy. No, you're happy. Oh, happy birthday. I'll speak to you. Yeah, actually, good. So you're major, you're going down the side. That's great communication. Great. Right when you get home. Great. Yeah. Great. All right. Going to Cabo.
Yes, he is.
Oh, time to start, everybody.
Oh.
Are we get? Oh wait. So do we go?
Okay, confirmands, come outside, line up.
Okay. Do we
Should
take
we-
our things here?
No, leave our
Leave
stuff.
everything here. Go with the rabbi. We're all gonna. I'm good. Got a lot going on. She has a complicated spinal rehab and stuff. So she's a strong person. No.
Hag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Welcome to confirmation. I want to share with you a little bit about our confirmands this year. I have been lucky enough to teach them every week, and every week I learn something different about each of them. First of all, they are the closest of friends. And if one brings in Dunkin' Donuts, they bring them for everyone. They like to eat and study together. They are all incredibly impressive in terms of their hearts and their souls and their minds. And you never know what's going to come out. When we've studied Torah, there have been times where I had to take notes so that I could use it in a sermon for that week. And as you'll see, their writings are outstanding. They're deep thinkers. They're just the most amazing students that I've had a chance to work with. And I am going to miss them tremendously next year, which means that I'll be taking them out to brunch occasionally so we can catch up and get ready for college. I ask everyone to pick up your blue prayer book in front of you and to silence your phones. We turn to page 412.
Now Mount Sinai was all in smoke, for Adonai had come down upon it in fire. Torah given amidst fire is compared to fire. Just as fire lives forever, so do the words of Torah live forever. When one draws near to fire, one is burned by it. When one moves away from fire, one is chilled. On Shavuot, we warm ourselves by the light of fire, our precious heritage.
Page 418. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, bishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, bishkenotecha Yisrael. V'ani berov chazdecha avo veitecha eshtachaveh el hichal kodshecha beiratecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai hafti me'on beitecha u'mekom mishkan kevodecha. V'ani eshtachaveh ve'echra evrecha lifnei Adonai osi. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. V'ani tefilati necha Adonai et ratzon. Elohim berov chazdecha aneni bemet ishecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov,
Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
So before Kara reads, I just wanted to share that each of our students, Kara, Lyra, and Zach, have all written several different pieces which we've included and woven through the service. So you'll get a chance to see and get to know them a little bit better by their words and by their thoughts.
Good morning. In February, Rabbi Renee, Marissa, Zach, Lyra, and I went to Washington, D.C. to participate in the Lata Kane seminar through the Religious Action Center for Reform Judaism. During the 3.5-day seminar, we all learned so much. The trip was life-changing and showed me how I can make a difference. Each day was filled with activities. Over 700 students from around the country participated in electives, shared meals together, went to the Holocaust Museum, visited Georgetown, and finally went to Capitol Hill. We had the opportunity to choose electives we would be interested in. Mine were gun violence and reproductive rights. Both of these topics are very important to my family and me. I learned so much from these classes. The one elective that had an impact on me was reproductive rights. Some things I learned about include the freedom to choose if needed, intersections of identity, access to abortion, couponing and services, birth control, contraceptives and family planning, parental notification and consent, and so many more topics that connect to women's reproductive rights. Another cool thing about the trip is that we visited the Capitol and the House of Representatives to present 2 topics of our interest, Israel and mental health. We got to pitch our 2 topics to Representative Pallone's staff. They were great listeners, they gave great feedback, and they supported our ideas 100%, which was great because not all groups had supportive representatives. My absolute favorite part of the trip was the services. Each group on the trip was from a different state or place, but we all had one thing in common, and that was Judaism. We were all Jewish. We had services Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night. My favorite part of the service was everyone in the service participated. Everyone sang the prayers, everyone danced to the songs, and we all learned a new song. Hearing over 700 Jews sing and pray was something I will never forget. I felt like I belonged to something much larger than myself. This trip only cemented my joy in being Jewish.
We continue with the blessings for every day, which begin on page 424.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu
Asech vivina,
lahavin ben yom uven laila.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sokef kefufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten la'aif koach.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamir sheinan me'enai, u'numa me'afapai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'chorim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, otzir Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, otzir Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Hi. So, The commandment, love your neighbor as yourself, is a central ethical principle in Judaism, and it appears in Leviticus 19, verse 18, where it states, "You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people, but you shall love your neighbor like yourself. I am Adonai, or the Lord." And today I want to explore the deeper meaning of this commandment within the context of Jewish thought, as well as how it impacts my life. In Judaism, love is not merely an emotion, but it is an action. The verse emphasizes treating others justly and compassionately. Rather than focusing on feelings, it encourages us to behave toward our neighbor as we would want them to behave towards us. The term neighbor, or Ra, in Leviticus 19, verse 18, refers specifically to fellow members of the Israelite or Judite community. And although the commandment initially applied to the Israelite community, its underlying principle extends universally. I embrace this by choosing to do this in my own life, toward all my friends and family, and even strangers. And furthermore, to love our neighbor as ourselves means empathizing with their joys and their sorrows. We rejoice in their happiness as if it were our own, and grieve over their sorrows similarly. Compassion drives us to assist in advancing their prosperity as eagerly as we would for ourselves. The commandment also warns against hatred and grudges. We should not harbor ill feelings towards others, and I apply this to my life so that I do not hurt anyone else, yet chiefly because it would hurt if done unto me. I also believe that it is self-defeating to bear negative emotions, as it brings your mental health down with the others. And instead, I seek reconciliation and forgiveness, recognizing that I, too, have vulnerabilities. We as members of the Jewish community are encouraged to love all people, regardless of their background, ethnicity, faith, sexuality, or any quirks. Loving your neighbor as yourself involves active compassion, empathy, and treating others justly. It transcends personal boundaries, reflects the interconnectedness of humanity, and shows a more positive, wholesome mental health and physical lifestyle.
We turn in our prayer books to page 438.
Baruch she'emar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reshit, Baruch omer ve'oseh, Baruch gozer u'makayim, Baruch merahim al ha'aretz, Baruch merahim al habriot, Baruch meshalem sakarto lireyav, Baruch hai la'ad v'kayam lanatzach, Baruch podeh u'matzil, Baruch shemo.
My favorite part about Judaism is our commitment to fostering community. Not just the community here at MRT or even the broader Jewish community, but everyone. As Jews, we are commanded to help those in need, to perform mitzvot that leave the world a little better than before. Tikkun olam is something I think about a lot. For those who don't know, Tikkun olam means to repair the world. Since my bat mitzvah 3 years ago, I have run a drive benefiting Monmouth Daycare Center in conjunction with Mitzvah Day here at MRT. Running this drive has taught me so much, but most importantly, it has taught me the importance of giving back to my community. As I head to college and beyond, my commitment to Tikkun olam, to helping where I can and being a voice for justice and compassion, will stick with me. Acting as a community to repair the world is endlessly important for our work and relationships that we develop. Nothing brings people together more than joining together to perform mitzvahs. Throughout the years, Kara, Zach, and I have grown closer through countless community service events, particularly during Mitzvah Academy. During COVID-19, none of us had seen each other for over a year. However, somewhere along the way, during breast cancer walks, making meals at the center, and sleeping over at the Cardboard Box City, we found our friendship again. Kara and Zach are two of my closest friends. This friendship forged the small community created is especially beautiful to me because of its roots in a team effort to heal the world, to practice Tikkun olam. In this way, the two go hand in hand. A common wish to improve the world brings about a flourishing community, and a flourishing community wishes to heal the world.
We turn to page 451 for the Hatzi Kaddish as we rise.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון לחייך עובד ישראל, מעגליו יזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ודמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה לעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה, נמירם בעלמה, ויאמרו Amen.
We continue on page 452.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai
HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 458 for the words of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue on with the V'ahavta.
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'leftecha v'aderech u'shofbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uv'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'yisharecha L'man tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yatem kedoshim lelo lechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim leot lehem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
I want to speak to you about the growing anti-Semitism in the world. Anti-Semitism has always existed. Abraham established a covenant with God that was confirmed with the reception of the Torah, the law including the Ten Commandments. From God through Moses to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, approximately 3,320 years ago. When the Jews were in Egypt, they were slaves. They weren't looked at as real people. And our ancestors were treated poorly. Moses saves us and leads us to free them, and although cannot step into the land of Israel, brings the people to their homeland. Our first and second temples were destroyed, and we were expelled from land after land, forced to live in ghettos and persecuted for being Jews. The greatest example of anti-Semitism was the Holocaust. The Germans were looking for someone to blame for the loss of World War I. They scapegoated the Jews and made other Jews see Jews as rodents. Hitler and his henchmen murdered 6 million Jews and 6 million others to try and rid the world of Jews. In spite of the horrors in our history, anti-Semitism attacks occur daily. The most recent, which has struck closest to my family and me, is the pro-Palestine protests on college campuses. We were stunned by what happened on October 7, 2023, and in spite of the fact that Israel was attacked and had people taken hostage, the world has turned against Israel and the Jewish people. Protesters blame Israel for the death of innocent Palestinians. In reality, that's not the truth. Hamas is given enough money to support the Palestinians, but Hamas uses cash for the wrong reasons. The main reason for concern right now is the protesting on college campuses all over the U.S. I have one cousin who is attending college in the fall, and I have another cousin who is currently attending college and is dealing with the protests and having anti-Semitism threats on campus. We have talked a little about it, but he is trying to push through it. He joined a group on campus full of Jewish kids. They go to services together, and it seems to raise his spirits a little. But at the end of the day, this makes him very angry. The one thing that stands out to me is that some college students cannot attend class. The protests are getting worse, college campuses are shutting down completely, and people aren't getting what they are paying for. Students pay to go to a campus that is safe, has a great environment, and exposes them to critical thinking. The college campus in Columbia was taken over by pro-Palestinian protesters. As a Jew, I feel alone in this world. We have been allies for so many different groups, and they are not standing with us. There is so much we have done for this world. I hope that people recognize the truth and begin to support American Jews and Israeli Jews. We all deserve to live in peace.
I just wanted to share with you that all of their writings, including the ones that we presented in Washington, D.C., are on the front table. What I did, during the course of the year, we did several different writings on different topics, and some of those are what I've chosen, and then I gave them a list of 5 things to think about and to choose 2 things to write about. And they worked so hard on putting these essays together. I told them I wouldn't edit, and I didn't. And so these words are all from their own mouths, their own hearts, and their own minds. And as you can see, Judaism is in a wonderful place with these 3 amazing thinkers going off into the world. I'm so proud of who you are as people and who you are as Jews. So, thank you. We continue on page 466 with Mi Hamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha b'edar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, shira chadasha shibehu geulim, leshimcha asafat hayam, yachad kulam, Odu v'himlihu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Sur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael uvtechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Gohaneinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'a Yisrael.
One of the topics Rabbi told us to consider is what we would change in the world given the power and ability. Obviously, there are many, many different answers for this, but in my opinion, empathy is one of the things we lack the most as a society. Empathy is defined as the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another. Currently, there seems to be a problem with people disregarding the humanity of others. This can be shown in our government, where laws are being created that threaten the health and safety of marginalized people, such as abortion bans and anti-trans legislation, and the heated debates that play out over social media. It's even present in the binary and reductive arguments over the war in Gaza. Due to this bias, opportunities to engage in meaningful resolution are often lost. When people refuse to put aside their preconceptions to understand the experiences different from their own, it perpetuates a cycle of human indignity and hatred. The solution to this is obvious. Until we can find it in ourselves to listen and learn, despite our differences, we won't be able to solve the very large problems that plague our world. A peaceful future can only come from intentional empathy. It's difficult and it's uncomfortable, but it's the only way.
We turn to page 468 in our prayer books as we rise for the Amidah, or as it says here, the Tefillah. The Tefillah, the prayer, is the central prayer in every prayer service. And as you'll see, it goes through 3 stages. The first is the introduction, where we all listen to the words and join together. The second is our reminding God that we are related to Abraham and Sarah and Jacob and Isaac and Rebekah and Rachel and Leah, so that God has a connection to us. It's a reminder, so then we can go to the third part, which is, God, you are beyond compare. You are strong, you are passionate, you help us in our time of crisis. It's a kind of buttering up, because then we're going to ask for several things. During holidays, we ask for peace, and during this holiday of Shavuot, it commemorates the giving of the Torah at Sinai, and also the end of the period of counting the Omer, which we started the second night of Passover. The Omer is a sheaf of barley, and we're now at the Barley Festival, when, as you'll see later in the reading of the Haftarah portion, people would go out and collect barley and bring it back. So we join together on page 468 and the pages following.
Adonai, sefatai tiftachu v'yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zoher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham V'Yezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayek Kol Atah, Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somich Noflim B'Rofei Chodim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Page 476.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Hakatuv al yad neviyecha, V'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Mahadir, Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, b'rachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Zion, Ledor v'ador, Hallelujah. Ledor v'ador nagid God lecha, ולנצח נצחית נקדיש, בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We turn in our prayer books to page 479 at the top.
Three times a year you shall hold a festival for me. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, eating unleavened bread for 7 days as I have commanded you. At the end of the month of Aviv, for in it you went forth from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty-handed. And the feast of the harvest, of the first fruit of your work, of what you sow in the field, and the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather the results of your work from the field. Okay, so anti-Semitism, a prejudice that has endured for centuries, continues to cast a long shadow over society. Its impact is not just historical, it persists in the present, affecting individuals on a personal, societal, and systemic level. And today, I want to further explore how anti-Semitism affects me personally, reflecting on its influence on my identity, relationships, and sense of belonging. As a person of Jewish heritage, anti-Semitism shapes my identity in profound ways. It forces me to grapple with the knowledge that some harbor deep-seated hatred towards me simply because of my ancestry. and this awareness can instill a sense of vulnerability and caution in navigating the world, as I must remain vigilant against discrimination and prejudice. So, anti-Semitism can strain interpersonal relationships as it introduces a layer of complexity and mistrust. Whether it's encountering casual anti-Semitic remarks or facing overt hostility, navigating interactions can be challenging for an individual. There is a constant need to assess the sincerity of others and gauge whether it is safe to disclose one's Jewish identity, and this burden can lead to feelings of isolation and alienation as the fear of rejection looms large. In addition, despite efforts to foster inclusivity, anti-Semitism undermines the notion of belonging for Jewish individuals. The rise of anti-Semitic incidents, both online and offline, serves as a stark reminder of the persistent othering of Jewish people. This exclusionary rhetoric can erode one's sense of community and leave individuals feeling like perpetual outsiders. To conclude, anti-Semitism is not merely a historic relic. It is a present-day reality with tangible consequences. Its insidious presence seeps into every aspect of life, shaping identities, influencing relationships, and undermining the sense of belonging. And as we confront the pervasive nature of anti-Semitism, it is imperative to challenge bigotry and promote understanding, fostering a world where all individuals can thrive free from prejudice and discrimination.
We turn to page 490 and join together in the singing of Sim Shalom.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, marcheinu yotzreinu kolanu kechad, ve'or panecha, ki vor panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, hein v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, Torat chayim ve'ahava chesed, ve'ahava chesed, u'tzedakah v'racha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, hein v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, ve'tov, ve'tov be'einecha levarich emcha Yisrael, bechol it u'chol shah mishlomecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, hein v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha.
We take moments of silent prayer at this time, either listening to your heart or what's in your mind, or thinking about some of the things that you've heard this morning. How do we stand up against anti-Semitism when it keeps growing in this world? We could think about the rescue of 4 hostages yesterday that were guarded by 200 Hamas members, and how Israel's army was able to go in and rescue these young people, resulting in the death of one of the leaders, the Israeli leaders, and many of the Palestinians who were keeping them hostage. We could pray for peace, because it's what this world truly needs. So we pray silently.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We now turn to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of Torah. It is found on page 494. We rise for Ein Kamocha.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך. מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Adonai uz le'moitin, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, el harachamim, heitiv ha'retzonecha et Zion. Tinei hamot Yerushalayim, ibecha levad vatachnu, Melech el Ram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad, echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai ha'gedula, והגבורה, והתפארת, והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני לממלכה, אני נעשה לכל ראש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים.
We invite Teddy and Cooper up to undress the Torah, and you'll dress it in a moment.
שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה, ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה, ועל גמילות חסדים. והארננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחיל לבבינו לאהבה ויראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. This morning, we will be chanting from the Ten Commandments, which were given on Mount Sinai. They begin in an interesting way. The first commandment, which doesn't sound like a commandment at all, is, I am the Lord your God. It's kind of a, I'm going to be giving these commandments, you need to listen because I'm God and you're not. Sometimes people think that they're God and that they can control everything, but it's a reminder to us that we're a part of this world, not apart from this world. And the laws that we're given today are still so incredibly important for our society. They help to keep us together. And so our students will be chanting, and we're very excited for them to come up. We invite up all of their parents who will lead us in the blessings before and after the Torah. You got it.
It is traditional, if you're able, to rise for the recitation of this part of the Torah, reminding us that each time we hear these commandments, we are as if we're at Mount Sinai receiving them. And our ancestors said upon receiving the Ten Commandments, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will listen and we will hearken, which means we're going to listen, but we're really going to listen. And so first, parents, the blessing. Baruch Adonai Amorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Low, Tisa.
Okay, where do I start? Right here?
I don't see it.
Let's just start there. Yeah, here.
Feet? No, no, no.
Oh, it's it, this one.
Okay. Good job.
Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav, ki lo yenakeh Adonai et asher yischa et shamo lashav, zachor et yom hashabat lidkadsho, sheshet yamim ta'avod v'asita kum v'achtecha v'yom hashvi'i Shabbat Adonai Elohecha lo ta'asecho malacha ata uvincha uvitecha avdecha v'mata uvitecha v'gera asher visharecha.
Who's next?
Sorry. Where does it start? On this side.
Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz hayom asher bam vayonach hayom hashvayi et alkein virach Adonai et yom hashabat vayikadshehu kabed et avicha ve'et imecha l'ma'an vayonun hamecha al ha'adamah asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach.
Lo tirsa, lo tain af, lo tigno, lo ta'ane ve'arecha et reecha. Aid reecha.
Eid Shaker.
Yeah, aid shaker. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Lo.
Oh my gosh, I'm breaking up.
That's not in there.
Okay.
Lo.
Wait, can we start?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Lo tirsa, lo tain af, lo tigno, lo ta'ane v'reecha et shaker, lo tachmod beit reecha, lo tachmod eshet reecha, v'havro, v'hamato, v'shoro, v'hamoro, et v'asher lereecha.
All right, parents?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah
while you're standing, I want to show you something. So, this is the Torah. Can you see how small the print is? It is in a completely different language that looks like hieroglyphics. There are no vowels. There are no notes that tell you how to chant this. It is as it is. And so it's incredibly challenging to be able to chant from the Torah without the vowels, with the print being this big and a totally different language. And one of the interesting things about the Torah is, although the print is small and there's no vowels and there's no notes that tell us how to chant it, every Torah looks the same. From the heaviest one that we have to the smallest one that we have, they all have the same number of words in each line, the same number of paragraphs and indentations, and it takes a scribe over a year to write each and every Torah.
Teddy and Cooper, can you come back on up? Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'divrei tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe Abdo uv'Yisrael Amo uv'Bin ha'emet v'Tzedek.
In the days when the Chiphanes ruled, there was a famine in the land. A man of Bethlehem in Judah, with his wife and 2 sons, went to reside in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elmech. His wife's name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Mahlon and Chilion. After they had been living in Moab for some time, Elmech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth, and they lived there about 10 years. Then Mahlon and Chilion also died, so Naomi was left without her 2 sons and without her husband. Having lost her 2 children as well as her husband, she started out with her daughters-in-law to return to Judah from the country of Moab. For she had heard that God had taken note of the Israelites and said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Turn back, each of you, to her mother's house. May God deal kindly with you, and you have dealt with the deed and with me. May God grant that each of you find security in the house of a husband." She kissed them farewell. They broke into weeping and said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body who might be husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I married tonight, I also bore sons. Should you wait for them to grow up? Should you, on their account, remain single? Oh no, my daughters, my lot is far more bitter than yours, for the hand of God has struck out against me." They broke into weeping again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law farewell, but Ruth clung to her. So Naomi said, "See, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not to follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may God do to me if anything but death parts me from you." When Naomi saw how determined Ruth was to go with her, she ceased to argue with her, and the two went on until they reached Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest.
Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a man of wealth whose name was Boaz. One day Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "I would like to go to the fields and glean among the ears of grain behind someone who may show me kindness." "Yes, daughter, go," she replied, and off she went. Ruth came and gleaned in a field behind the reapers, and, as luck would have it, it was the piece of land belonging to Boaz. Presently Boaz arrived from Bethlehem, and he greeted the reapers and said to the servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose girl is that?" The servant replied, "She is a Moabite girl who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab," she said. "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers." "She has been on her feet ever since she came this morning. She has rested only a little in the hut." Boaz said to Ruth, "Listen to me, daughter. Don't go to glean in another field. Don't go elsewhere, but stay here close to my girls. I have ordered the men not to harass you, and when you are thirsty, go to the jars and drink some of the water that the men have drawn." She bowed to the ground and said to him, "Why are you so kind as to single me out when I am a foreigner?" Boaz said in reply, I have been told of all that you did for your mother-in-law. May Adonai reward your deeds. May you have a full reward from Adonai, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have sought refuge." She answered, You are most kind, my lord, to comfort me and to speak gently to me. I am at your service, though I am not so much as one of your maidservants." At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come over here and eat. Dip your piece of bread in the vinegar."
So she sat down beside the reapers. She ate her fill and had some left over. When she got up again to glean, Boaz gave orders to his workers. "You are not only to let her glean among the sheaves without bothering her, but you must also pull some stalks out of the heaps and leave them for her to glean, and not scold her." She gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned. It was about a bushel of barley, and carried it back with her to town. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned and what she had left over after eating her fill. Naomi asked her, "Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be he who took such a generous notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law whom she had worked with, without saying, "The name of the man with whom I worked with today is Boaz." Naomi told her daughter-in-law, "May Adonai bless him, for the man is related to us. He even told me, 'Stay close by my workers until all my harvest is finished.' It is best, daughter, that you go out with his girls and not be annoyed in some other field." So Ruth gleaned with the maidservants of Boaz until the barley harvest and the wheat harvest were finished. Then she stayed at home with her mother-in-law. Naomi said to Ruth, "Daughter, I must seek a home for you, where you may be happy. Now there is our kinsman Boaz, whose girls you were close to. He will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor tonight. So bathe, fix your hair, dress up, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not disclose yourself to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he lies down." She replied, "I will do everything you tell me." She went to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had instructed her. Boaz ate and drank, and in a cheerful mood went to lie down beside the grain pile. Then she went over softly. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Ruth, at your service. Take me in marriage, for you are a near relative." He exclaimed, "Be blessed of God, daughter. Have no fear, I will do in your behalf whatever you ask, for all the elders of my town know what a fine woman you are. But while it is true I am a near relative, there is another one closer than I. If he will marry you, let him do so. But if he will not marry you, I will do so myself, as God lives." When she got back to town, Ruth came to her mother-in-law, who asked her, "How is it with you, daughter?" She told her all that the man had done for her, and she added, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying to me, 'Do not go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" And Naomi said, "Stay here, daughter, till you learn how the matter turns out. For the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today.
Meanwhile, Boaz has gone to the gate where the court of law met and sat down there. And now the near relative whom Boaz had mentioned passed by. Boaz called to him, "Come over and sit down here." And he came over and sat down. Boaz said, "Naomi, now returned from the country of Moab, must sell the piece of land which belonged to our kinsman Elimelech. I thought I should disclose the matter to you and say, acquire it in the presence of the elders seated here. If you are willing to redeem it and so keep it in the family, do so. But if not, tell me now, for there is no one to redeem but you, and I will come after you." "I am willing to redeem it," he replied. Boaz continued, When you acquire the property from Naomi, you must also marry Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, that a son may be born to bear his name and inherit the field."
The Redeemer replied, "Then I cannot redeem it for myself, for the cost of upkeep on that property would reduce my own estate. You take over my right of redeeming it, for I cannot do so. Now, this was formerly done in Israel in cases of redemption or exchange. To make an agreement valid, one man would take off his sandal and hand it to the other. So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, 'Acquire for yourself,' he drew off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders and to the rest of the people, 'You are witnesses today that I am acquiring from Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and Chilion and Mahlon. I have also secured Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. If she has a son, he will receive this land and carry on Mahlon's name, so that the name of the deceased may not disappear from among the people. You are witnesses today.' All the people at the gate and the elders answered, 'We are. May Adonai make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built up the house of Israel. Prosper and carry on your name in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, through the offspring which God will give you by this young woman.' So Boaz and Ruth married. God let her conceive, and she bore a son. And the woman said to Naomi, 'Blessed be Adonai, who has not withheld the Redeemer from you today. May his name be carried on in Israel. This child will renew your life and sustain your old age, for he is born of your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons.'"
Naomi took the child and held it to her. She became its foster mother, and the woman neighbors gave him a name, saying, "A son is born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, father of David. Because the great King David would descend from Ruth and Boaz, the story of his ancestry is given here. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Aminadab. Aminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz. Boaz was the father of Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David.
Where's the blessing? Where's the colored in the? Oh, okay. Good.
Before they say the blessing, I just wanted to share that was from Megillat Ruth. Shavuot is the only time that we read that Megillah. And it's an interesting story. It's a double love story. It's a story of a daughter-in-law who falls in love with her mother-in-law, who then becomes part of the Jewish people. And the words that Ruth says to Naomi are part of what we say when someone converts to Judaism. "I beg you not to leave me, please. Your people are my people. Your God may be your God." And she brings her home, and the relationship that she allows Ruth to have with Boaz is one that will bring about the coming of the Messiah. There's another interesting fact. Did anyone hear at the beginning the name of Ruth's sister-in-law? It began with an O.
Yes.
Orpah. Anyone know of anyone whose name is similar? Yeah. Oprah's mom wanted to name her kid Orpah, but they couldn't figure out how to spell it at the hospital, so she became Oprah instead. So her name comes from the book of Ruth, interestingly enough.
Interesting.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sor kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'mdaber u'makayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek.
Al HaTorah, Ve'al HaModah, Ve'al HaMi'im, Ve'al HaKashrut Hazeh, Shenatata Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, L'sasod u'simcha, Lechavod u'tifaret, Al HaKol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu modim lach, u'mbarkim otah, Yitbarach Shimcha, B'fi kol hai tamid, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael b'chazmanim.
Please stand as we return the Torah to the ark. Etz Chaim hi, lama chayzekim ba, v'tomechecha meushar, derachecha darchei noam, v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai, elecha v'nashuva, Adei Shamenu kekedem, Adei Shamenu kekedem. So I'm going to ask each of you to come up to the cantor and I. And the cantor and I, you go to the cantor first, you come to me first. We are each going to give you private prayers of what we hope for you in your life. Lyra, you go to cantor. Kara to me. You wait for the cantor.
Please rise.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yahir Adonai panav elecha v'hunecha. May the light that you all have inside you continue to shine upon all those who you meet. I have no doubt that you will change the world. Yisa Adonai panav elecha
Shalom, shalom.
May you be granted the greatest gift, that of peace and of shlemut, which is a sense of comfort in who you are. And may you walk always towards the person that you know you are. Your voices will resound. You will change the world. And I am so glad to have had this year to study with you. It doesn't end here. We will continue to study together.
Amen, amen. Please be seated. So first I want to speak on I think a slightly humorous note. I think it's slightly humorous. So the book of Ruth talks about how her husband dies, and when she finally gets to Israel, what happens in ancient Judaism is if your husband dies, you have to marry the closest relative, which means usually your brother-in-law. I'm going to tell you, the thought of marrying my brother-in-law, I just can't even imagine it. But to be fair to him, he probably would feel the same way about me. That's why it's important to remember that we are part of what's called Reform Judaism. Not Reform Ed, we're not done changing, reform. We're in the process of change. And I think that's what makes us so relevant, because change is really important. It's good to learn about our tradition, like those fun, crazy facts about what used to happen, but it's really important to say, well, but those fun, crazy facts don't work for me anymore. And I'm knowledgeable about it, but this is more relevant to me. And I want to be clear that always in Judaism, there's been a study of what we do, a study of our laws, and a reinterpretation of our laws. Even in the most traditional echelons of Judaism, whether they acknowledge it or not, there is change and reinterpretation. But the problem that happens in each sect is each sect thinks its interpretation is the valid interpretation. And that's where every one of us becomes very rigid. And the problem with rigidity is that you can't hear each other, which was the overarching theme of many of your speeches, that we have to listen to one another. And what was clear to me, knowing all of you and hearing you today, is that you're all capable of having a nuanced discussion. This is a very hard thing to do in today's age. People are not able to have a nuanced discussion, to hear different points of view, and this is really hurting all of us, but you know how to do it, and you're going to lead the way. Last year I had the opportunity to see a play. If you ever have the opportunity to see it, I hope you do. It's called Leopoldstadt, and Leopoldstadt is a play written about a family in Vienna before, starting at the turn of the 20th century, well, the late, and it leads up to the Holocaust, and it keeps jumping 20 years. And this is a Viennese family. They are Jewish, and each one of them in the family, each person in the family reflects a person we all know. It's like some people in the family married into the family, and they are Jewish, or they weren't born Jewish. Some people in the family are Jewish, but they've chosen to not be Jewish, and they've even converted to Christianity. Some people in the family are fiercely Jewish and fiercely traditional, and one person leaves the United States. The rest of the family are there. And they're very wealthy, they're very educated. One's a professor at a university, one is a factory owner. One has met with Emperor Franz Joseph. They are at the highest level of Viennese society. But at the end of the day, all of them perished in the Holocaust, except for one part of the family that escaped to England, and the woman who escaped to New York before the war. And it was a very chilling play, and I walked out of there very depressed, and this was a year ago. And now we have in our country what all of you have talked about. But what's so good about all of you is that you're going to have the tools and the ferocity and the optimism and the kindness to have the important conversations that you need to have with the people you meet henceforth. And you represent the best in Judaism. And I don't think, and I pray, what happened in Vienna and Europe is going to happen here. But I think we have a better chance of that not happening because of people like you. So please keep your strength, keep your pride in being good people, and remember that your Judaism is who you are. I've chosen a song called L'chilach. It talks about what a blessing you are and what a blessing you are becoming, because you're all of those things. L'chilach, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. L'chilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. L'chilach, l'chilach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. L'chilach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'chilach. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. L'chilach. Mazel tov.
Shalom, everyone. I'm Magda Reyes. I'm the Director of Congregational Learning, and it is such a pleasure for me. And don't tell anyone, but this is, the 10th grade service is my favorite service because of young people like this. So I apologize. My remarks are aimed for you, but my back is going to be to you, so don't make any faces, okay? Never. All right. We say that confirmation in 10th grade is the culmination of formal religious school studies. But I would add, of course, that it is not the end of Jewish learning and growth. In the last 3 years since you became Bar Mitzvah, you studied, questioned, wrestled with issues that concerned you, all the while shaping your own unique Jewish identity. This exploration could only be done with a more mature perspective found in Mitzvah Academy and Confirmation, because it is the foundation for a deeper understanding and a more sophisticated appreciation of our culture, history, and religion. As Rabbi Rick Jacobs once said, in confirmation classes, you have a chance to swim in the deep water of the Jewish tradition. Following confirmation, it is up to you to put everything that you've learned into practice and infuse everything that you do with what you've learned. And I can see that happening already. We can see how you're taking your place in our directive to do tikkun olam, the repairing of the world. Kara, you shared how the issues behind reproductive rights resonated with you, so much so that you thought they were important enough to speak to your representatives about them during your Letakain visit. I love that you felt comfortable among 700 Jewish teens. You said, I felt like I belonged to something much larger than myself. Wow. Zach, you care strongly about interactions among people and share that you love your neighbor as yourself is central in your thinking. You write, loving your neighbor as yourself involves active compassion, empathy, and treating others justly. You seek reconciliation and forgiveness. And as Cantor said, thank you for that. We need a lot of that these days. And Lyra, you write about the importance of creating community in your current work at the daycare center, excuse me, and with your religious school classmates. My commitment to Tikkun Olam, to helping where I can, and to being a voice for justice and compassion will stick with me. Thank you. As you start your new journeys today, I would advise that you keep Rabbi Tarfun's words in mind. You're not obligated to finish the work of perfecting the world today, but neither are you permitted to do nothing towards that goal. There might be times when advocacy for a cause, or treating others with compassion, or creating community is not giving you any immediate, tangible results. Our tradition says that is okay, because you're on the right path. And as long as you have planted those seeds, you or someone else can nurture them and grow them into something beautiful. And always remember Hillel's words, do not remove yourself from the community. One of the confirmands from a few years ago summed it up beautifully. As long as I can remember, my entire Jewish faith centered around one building, one congregation, and one place. But I learned an important lesson. Wherever I am a Jew. My faith lies in myself, and I'm confident that because of this congregation and these people, my faith is solid. Our memories of religious school will eventually fade. I hope not. But I know we will carry with us the lessons that we've been taught as we embark on the journey of the rest of our lives. This is not the end of Jewish education, unquote. Congratulations, Mazel Tov, on completing this part of Jewish learning and exploration, and welcome to the next stage of your Jewish journey, where you will have the opportunity to write your own Jewish story. We have laid the groundwork here. Now it is up to you to continue. May you experience many new beginnings, building on the foundations you have already developed. May you develop many new relationships while still embracing our thousands-year-old tradition. And may you always welcome challenges as opportunities for further Jewish learning and growth. And may this people be always your people. And may this God be always your God. It says in our prayer book, Mishkan Tfilah, that we celebrate the confirmation of our students on the holiday of Shavuot because the holiday is called the time of giving the Torah. Why isn't it called the time of receiving the Torah? On that day, it says, only the giving occurred, whereas the receiving is taking place each and every day. I am thrilled and so very proud of all of you because you demonstrate every day that you understand and embrace, receive your Torah, our Torah, and show that you have developed your own individual paths towards repairing the world. Thank you. Mazel Tov again on being confirmed today. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce and invite Amy Sukenik, one of the co-chairs of the Religious Education Committee here at MRT, to present gifts and certificates.
You guys, woohoo! It's awesome to be here, and I feel so happy to hear all of the things that you said. And I'll tell you, you talked about empathy, you talked about community, you talked about things that you feel are close to your hearts, that are you're passionate about. What struck me is that not just anti-Semitism, but Islamophobia and being black or being gay or all of those things that you just talked about apply in all of those areas. And I'm so happy to have you representing us in the world.
Our confirmands, Carol Lowenstein. Zachary Harvey. Lyra Seligman. Mazel tov.
Thank you. Before we continue our service, I just want to say that this group of young people have taught me so much about how to have discussions about difficult things. We did argue, but it was all done with a sense of compassion and love, and we argued when holding hands or shoving hostess cakes into our faces. We spoke about everything under the sun, from studying Torah and how important it is to each and every one of us today, from the evolution of our tradition to what lies ahead of them, and to learning about the commandments and trying them on to see if they fit where you are in your lives. Everything that we do is adjusted to our lives and to who we are. And we can do that with Judaism as well. You are my first class of confirmands here. I will never forget each and every Sunday and everything that I learned from you. And I hope that next year we will continue to get together, perhaps at the diner sometime, just to talk about what's going on in the world and to understand in our own little circle that we will always remain connected. I will always be there for you. You can reach out with whatever you need. I'm so proud of you. And I have so much love in my heart for each and every one of you. We turn in our prayer books to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נושא שמיים ויוצר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו עינון, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You are not here by happenstance. You are here on the shoulders of your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents. And we remember those who are not here physically, but who you remember through pictures and through stories. And we turn to page 598 as we recite together the ancient Aramaic words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach hiratei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'varach le'olam umei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yokol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom b'mramah. hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Our closing song.
So I'd love for each confirmand to leave your stuff there, to take a flower, and we are going to join in Siman Tov as you lead us out into lunch. Okay? Siman Tov,
Mazel tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, Yehelanu, 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 U'v'chol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu. Please follow them. U'v'chol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, U'v'chol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, U'v'chol Yisrael. And we would like to thank the parents for making a beautiful luncheon and a beautiful afternoon for us. Continue to have a day of blessings.
Amen. Hearing left behind.